high crotch, bring it back, single leg swing. Let me teach you how to wrestle. Okay. Let me teach you how to wrestle.
Take it from the top. So when bouncing back from injury, when did it happen?
So this was like a week after the All-Star Classic in December of last year. I tore my ACL in practice, and I had a decision to make. I could still wrestle, or I could get surgery and be out for the year. There were a couple factors that helped me reach my decision, and I think the biggest one was just looking at the longevity that I have in this sport and the things that I want to do. And so I want to wrestle for the next 10 years, not just the next year. So that's kind of the big thing that helped me make that decision. I want to be healthy so I can continue to compete, and then eventually I want to coach. And if I'm all banged up, then it's going to be pretty tough. So yeah, the recovery process was tough in the beginning. I had torn my shoulder my freshman year, and that one wasn't as bad because I could still kind of do things after surgery. I could walk around and get outside, but being stuck in bed for a couple of weeks was really tough for me. But then as I was able to start crutching and moving around a little bit more, things got easier, and then I could walk on my own, and then I was running, and then everything just started picking up a lot faster. But I think I'm most excited to just be back in general and be appreciative. I feel like I've been away for a really long time, and I've missed everything, the ups and downs, all of it. And so I'm just grateful to be able to do it again. And I think looking forward to this year, I want to have fun, and I want to be present, and I want to have gratitude for the opportunities that I have.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, for people that don't understand, that actually is improving in the sport of wrestling because the perspective improves. So talk about that, how you keep yourself mentally in the right positive mindset where I'm still getting better despite the fact not having wrestled. You're still doing other things. Like you didn't take off like entirely.
Yeah, so a big thing that I did was I started journaling, and I started reading a lot. And those were like things that when I was younger, I didn't like. I didn't like to read and write. I hated it. And now I'm starting to find a love for it, and I'm learning new things. So that's one of my infinite goals, is to teach and to learn. No matter what domain or realm I'm in, I want to be learning and teaching. And so I think that I found ways to do that even when I can't do the sport that I love.
Yeah, now talk about what are you reading now? What are you learning about? You're talking about the, what was the book where he's pushing it up the hill?
The Myth of Sisyphus.
Okay.
And this guy is condemned to push a boulder up a hill for the rest of his life, never getting to the top. But he finds peace and contentment in doing so. And so I feel like that's a really good example for life, is like we may never reach our goals, but if you can find peace in working towards achieving them, your life is meaningful because you give it meaning, not because it's gifted to you or anything else. The meaning that life has for you is the meaning that you give to it. So I think that I've learned a lot in my 2 years of being injured away from the sport, and I've grown to become much more than just wrestling because of it.
Awesome. What else have you read? What else have you watched or studied?
I've done a lot of stoicism here and there. I've taken 2 philosophy courses actually at school on ethical leadership, and I found those to be pretty interesting. I read a lot of Kant and the greatest good for the greatest number and stuff like that, and I just feel like it's helping me to figure out who I am and who I want to be. I think at the end of the day, Aristotle talks about virtue ethics, and it's about not necessarily being the right person, but being the best person that you can be at the time in whatever situation that it is. And I feel like I really like that. Being virtuous for a firefighter and having courage would be running into a burning building. But for a regular person, that would be rash because they don't have the training and that experience. So it's finding that virtue for you. And I like that about virtue ethics. Yes, and it's different for the individual.
Right.
And I like that a lot.
Right. So what did they have you read today? Have you read the Key of Ethics?
No, I have not done any of that actually.
What Aristotle did they have you read?
So we did the virtue ethics, and that was pretty much the bulk of it. And then we did I forget who else we read, but we did. I know we did Aristotle, we did Kant. This was actually like a year and a half ago, so it's been quite some time.
Yeah. No, but it's good. You're still growing. Okay, so we go back some time now. Your father being Rutgers guy, I was a Rutgers guy. It was a little bit before me. I was not too long after, really. Talk about how you were cultivated growing up. You, your sister, your family.
So I was always around wrestling. I was in a singlet before I could walk. At my dad's matches and stuff. And so I don't really remember when I got started, but I was always doing it. And when I first started, it was me and like my 5 best friends. And my dad would drive us all over the state, all over the country, go to tournaments. I remember a favorite trip of ours was going down to Wildwood for the duels. And we would pack up the minivan, 6 of us in there, and we would cram it into a 2 or 3 bedroom hotel. And we would share beds, sleep on the floor, air mattresses, and it was just a lot of fun traveling together with the team. And then my dad was always my coach up until I went to high school. But a lot of my friends dropped off. Stuff got hard. Life came in the way. But my one cousin, Lorenzo Norman, he was like my main partner, and he stuck with me through and through. He's at Stanford now, and he's doing great things out there. We both went to Blair, and me and my dad kind of, as I was getting older, started butting heads a little bit with training and stuff. And so then I went away to Blair, and that was one of the best things that happened for our relationship. He was no longer my coach, and I could actually build a relationship of father and son, and that was really cool to see. And now we're like best friends.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's weird because now I'm 22 and I'm not an adult yet. I still feel like a kid, but I feel like my dad is more of my friend than my dad now, and I really like that a lot.
Because I was going to say, it's a tough dynamic when your dad's coaching all those years, especially when you were real good when you were young. So I'm like, you're having like higher level conversations than most 8th graders are having with your dad.
Yeah.
So I mean, talk about that and how should a kid deal with that, and also what tips maybe for a parent, because there's a lot of people out there like that.
Yeah, I think that if you have a child that you're coaching, you have to differentiate times when you are talking to them as their parent and times when you're talking to them as their coach. So like a good thing I think that could be helpful is when you're in the wrestling room, like that's not your parent anymore, that's your coach. So you listen to what they have to say, and you don't give them any talk back, and you be just like anybody else. And then when you're at home, especially for the parents, I think it's important to approach them as your kid, not your athlete. Because once you start to blur that line, the relationship that you have with parent and child becomes really tough, and it's hard for the kid to see, is this the coach or is this my dad? And so I think just separating those two is a really good way to keep that relationship that you have outside of the sport.
Would you guys have those kind of conversations, or is it just kind of like something that worked that improved over time, maybe?
Yeah, so that was something that, like, the reason we started butting heads all the time was because I felt like I was being coached while I was at home, and I was just trying to relax. I was like any other middle school kid. I would sleep in late, and my dad would think I was lazy. I'd take a lot of naps, and he'd yell at me to go outside or something. And we just started butting heads over little things, and then I went away, and that distance helped actually make our bond stronger. And then he was kind of more hands-off with the coaching. I would still call him up and ask him for advice and tell him what we've been working on. And actually, we have this thing where every time we meet up in our house, the high-traffic area is the kitchen. So he'd be in there cleaning up a dish. I'd be walking past to go to the bathroom, and that's where we would work on technique in our kitchen. So I'd be like, hey, what do you think about this? And I'd grab him and we'd do stuff. And that's just one of our little things that I think is really fun.
Nice. What would you say your dad did really well from a young age, or even as you're growing older, to help cultivate the champion?
Well, I think the biggest thing was, especially when I was really young and I didn't have the success, he always told me that I was capable, and he believed in me more than I believed in myself. He told me that there was nobody I couldn't beat, and that I would be the greatest that there ever was. And he truly believes that. And at some point, I started to believe that too, but in the beginning I didn't. And so he would push me past what I thought I was capable of, and that helped to show me that I could do more. And so, yeah, I think that his belief in me was probably the greatest thing that he could have given me.
Would it be, he probably said it all the time, was it before practices, after losses, that you particularly remember this, like, sticking out in your mind from saying this?
A lot of times it was after matches when I lost and I didn't do well. He would always tell me that he loves me, And then he would tell me that, I could do more, I could be better. And it used to bother me for a while. I always thought, oh, I'm never good enough. I'm never good enough. But he was just trying to show me that I could do more and that I was capable of more. And so looking back, I'm really grateful for everything.
Awesome. Why was wrestling your favorite sport? You were a quarterback. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I was
before, but
so that same group of 6 that would travel with me to all these wrestling tournaments was also my football team. They were my linemen, my linebackers, my wide receivers. And so I played a little bit of quarterback, elementary school up until middle school.
The time is now to take your mindset to the next level with Wrestling Mindset. Make sure you go to our website, wrestlingmindset.com, and sign up for your free trial session today. Don't wait any longer. You want the mental edge right now. When you sign up for the free trial session, you're also going to get a copy of our free ebook, Building the Predator Mindset. This book has helped thousands of people build confidence, relax under pressure, get motivated, and build mental toughness in wrestling, school, and life. Make sure you sign up for your free trial session today.
And, I think that the team aspect was really fun. And that kind of helped us stay together for so long, was because we did everything together. But eventually I kind of didn't grow as much as everybody else, and so I was a little bit small to be playing football. And, I started to take the wrestling a little bit more seriously. And that's when we kind of started to go our separate ways. I realized that there were things that I wanted to do, and that I couldn't be average if I wanted to do extraordinary things. So I had to separate myself a little bit, and that was tough. But my real friends and those guys I'm still in touch with today. And so I don't think there's any hard feelings there.
what was your favorite play to run as a quarterback? Or favorite plays? Did you like running? Did you like throwing? Did you like pass, handoffs?
So we did a lot of fake throws in the little Statue of Liberty play.
Yeah.
That was fun. But we also ran both offense and defense. So I actually like playing linebacker a little bit more. We would do full blitzes, and we had these cool names. I think my name was the Predator, and then we had the Terminator, the Hulk, and like whenever your name got called out, you knew you were going in and you were going to get the tackle. And it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. What from football do you feel like you've taken to wrestling that's helped you from football?
Yeah, so I think I'm a big team guy, and that stems from playing team sports growing up and having that group, that close-knit group all around me. And so, when I am now looking at my wrestling, I think that the team plays a big part, even though it is an individual sport. Having like-minded individuals around you all aiming to get better and push each other is a really great tool to have. You can definitely do it on your own, but it's a little bit harder and a little bit tougher. And just having those groups of people to support you and be around you, I think is one thing that those other sports help me to realize.
How do you grow a Blair as a wrestler and as a man?
So I don't think that Blair, I really fit in there, and I don't think that it was made very well for wrestlers.
Yeah.
The way that it's set up, the academics are pretty tough, and there's a lot of people from different places, and we have to make a lot of sacrifices to do the wrestling. They expect us to attend everything, and going to wrestling isn't an excuse to not show up to something. Cutting weight isn't an excuse to not show up to something. So it helped me be accountable for all of the real world, as real as you can get in high school. And still be able to do the things I need to do to be successful in my sport. So if anything, I learned how to communicate with people from all different places who I have very little in common with. It's an international boarding school, so there's kids from China, Hong Kong, all over the place, from all different backgrounds. And so I think that was pretty cool to be able to meet all these different people. And but then figuring out that balance, I think, was huge and prepared me really well for college.
And how about academically? Do you feel like that prepared you well for Penn State?
Oh, for sure. So I was looking at all Ivy League schools initially, and then I ended up coming to Penn State. But I think that academics have been something that's been pretty easy things to go with.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people who've gone to prep schools that they said their college is actually easy compared to their high school experience. Yeah. I don't know if you felt that way too. Or...
I definitely felt that my freshman year. That I was like, well, this is way easier than what I've been doing.
Wow.
It's picked up a little bit since then.
Yeah. All right, so what do you think the trajectory is for your career? What would you like to accomplish? Like you said, you'd like to wrestle for 10 years, right? And then go on to coaching?
Yeah. So I don't like to talk too much about my goals because I found that, when I talk about my goals, I feel really good, and then I'm less likely to work hard at them.
Gotcha, okay.
And so not to be secretive or anything, but I'm gonna keep those to myself, just so that you guys can see, and you'll see what I want to accomplish when I do.
All right.
I'll let the work speak for itself.
Okay.
Yeah, but the long-term infinite goals are something that never change and will never be accomplished. But things like teaching and learning and bettering myself, those are things that I'm always working towards every day.
Yeah. But you would like to coach one day.
Yeah,
You,
definitely.
Like have coach team, dad's club. What?
So I'm thinking of going top down, right?
Okay.
So while I'm still relatively young, when I'm done competing, coaching at the college level, where I think I'll still have the ability to work with the guys on the same level and train them at the highest level. And then as I start to get older, slowly kind of work my way down, maybe high school or maybe right to a club, and then help developing youth wrestlers. Again, ultimately trying to teach and learn and teach these kids not only wrestling, but how to be better people, better humans.
All right. Now we got to give Roz Rhino a shout out. Talk about your dad's club and everything he's had gone over there. How long has he been doing it? What's been going on? What's coming up?
Yeah, so the club has been over there for I think 5 or 6 years now, over in Hillsborough, New Jersey, and I'm doing a clinic there on the 22nd or the 23rd of August. And
Get that date for us, so you know for sure.
We're in July
Okay.
July 22nd, July 23rd, and I'm hoping to see everybody out there coming back home. And again, I just want to teach and I want to learn. I feel like it'd be very selfish of me to have all this knowledge of wrestling and not share it with everybody else.
Yeah. So your dad's got a lot of shout outs. We're going to talk about your mom. How she helped you.
So my mom has been my go-to person with everything outside of wrestling. So she's gotten a lot better at understanding the sport. She's been around it for a while, and actually she just started helping out at the club, which is nice to see. And my sister wrestles there now too, and it's nice to all be together in one place doing something that we all enjoy. But more on my mom, she's just been the one that I could always talk to, and she's always there for me. I always felt like my dad was the one to push me, and then when I got pushed too far, my mom was the one to catch me. And that balance is really nice to have.
Awesome. You have a few?
Yeah, I was going to say we touched on it a little bit before, but you're at Blair, you're having success. There was no mental problem, so to speak. I think it was during your time at Blair you started working with Wrestling Mindset. Can you talk about that a little bit and why you decided to formally train your mindset when you weren't struggling?
Yeah, so I think that if anything, you can always do better, right? And so I was having success in wrestling, but I wasn't struggling mentally with wrestling, but there were other areas of my life where, I felt like I was falling behind, and so I wanted to see how I could improve even more. And I think that Wrestling Mindset, even if you don't have a specific struggle in the sport, it can help you to grow, even if it's just 1%. Right? And so that's a lot of times what separates the good guys from the great guys. It's just 1%. And having the skills and the tools and the knowledge will help you to get that much better. And at the highest level, the differences get smaller and smaller. So having 1% makes a whole lot difference at the highest level.
Was there anything in particular that really stuck out in your mind that maybe helped you think of things a little bit differently or in a better way, not necessarily differently?
I think that for me, I always struggled with getting into the zone. In high school, my thing was I would get taken down or I would go down by a bunch of points early on, and I'd rally all the way back and then I'd find a win. It worked until it didn't. Actually, I wrestled Bill Bartlett in the finals that year, and I went down by 9 points. And I rallied my way back, but I couldn't get the job done. And I think that it really helped me to put myself in the mindset of being ready to go off the first whistle. You guys talk about getting the first attack, shooting in the first 10 seconds, things like that. And those helped me to, go after a guy, apply a little bit of pressure right from the start, keep moving forward, get to my scores. And so I don't really have slow starts anymore because of it.
That's awesome. Yeah, talk about that. I know it's in the back of your shirt, man. I'm sure you talked about it before, but that's really good.
Yeah, so that's just a philosophy I like to use for my wrestling. a lot of times I don't think while I'm out there on the mat. But if there is a break in the action and I happen to think, only thing I'm thinking about is apply pressure and move forward. Right? I'm always trying to make this guy uncomfortable. I'm always trying to move forward and get to my scores. Right? If I get taken down, what do? I apply pressure back into this guy and I move forward, get up to my feet, and then I get my hands on him. I apply pressure on him again. And then that's kind of how I simplify the thoughts and just keep wrestling.
Right, because a lot of times people put too much into their head, and then you get all these outside variables. It's like, no, you're right here.
Yeah.
That's just having something simple and short is better than a long, drawn-out dialogue, right? And something can also bring you back, like we were talking about before, the reset button, being able to reset yourself after something unexpected happens.
Yeah, that's really good I know in freestyle, there's a lot of long breaks when they throw challenge breaks and do video review, and it takes away from the action, and you may lose focus a little bit. That reset button is really good. Mine is like reset, recenter, refocus. And whenever I say that, I'm ready to get back out there and go again.
Awesome. What's something about you that most people don't know?
It's
like, you got Bo's all out there, so like people see everything, but okay, for you, there's probably a lot of things.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of things. I've been spending a lot of time outside in nature, and I really appreciate the beauty of nature. Specifically, flowers have been my thing lately. Whether they're like weed flowers, like dandelions or something, like I'm finding beauty in the little things, and I've been doing that a lot with just going outside.
Yeah, and I think that's huge because so much of us in our society, it's like we're social media, we're videos, and like it's great, that's great, but there's God's green earth, the creation, right? And it's like, and this is all there, and we just kind of walk right past it, and it's not good for your mind either to just be avoiding that. And when you're just dialed into electronics, that hurts too. But when you're out in nature, I feel like you're more positive, more creative. You're getting the sunlight.
Yeah.
You're getting the fresh air. Like as basic as that is, we've been into our sport. So like we need to go out of our way to get that fresh air and sunlight.
Yeah. So one thing I've been trying to do actually a lot lately is tap into my inner child or my younger self, the innocence, and some ways I've been doing that is by being grounded and getting outside, getting my feet in the dirt and the mud and getting dirty.
You mean barefoot now?
Barefoot, yeah. But I was outside on a trail one day and I was tapping my feet in the mud and I was splashing around and I felt like a little kid again. Just this overwhelming sense of peace and joy and fulfillment from doing something so simple as playing in the mud.
Well, right away, I guess the first thing that pops into my head, maybe other people too think of Kyle Dake walking around grounding, earthing. Was that something that inspired you? See something that inspired you with that? Did they make you give it a second look? Or was it something you picked up someplace else?
Yeah, so I heard about him doing it and I looked into it a little bit. I'm not too familiar with the actual science of it, but I know that when I do it, I feel good. And so I'm going to keep doing it.
That's it. Look good, feel good, and doing things to make yourself feel better. Anything else? Shayne, awesome. Great stuff, man. Really appreciate it.